Hey guys, Andrew here with Nashville Severe Weather. It's 12:54 in the morning on Sunday on March 28th, and we have a flash flood emergency for southern Davidson County, northern Williamson County, and on over into Wilson County. So we're going to get to the severe thunderstorm warning in just a second. Let me turn the radar off, and I know this is awfully there's a lot going on. This flash flood warning here that covers southern Davidson County is a flash flood emergency, folks. This is the most dire flash flood product that the National Weather Service can issue. This is a dire situation down in southern Davidson County, northern Williamson County. Lots of flooding of the roads, lots of flooding of cars, and unfortunately homes, including friends of mine that I'm close with that have had water in their home. And so this is not an easy night for us. This is not going to be an easy next few days, next couple of weeks. It's not going to be easy for us. But as always, we've been through these before, and we will get past it, and we will get through it. So heavy rain now and a new severe thunderstorm warning down to the south in the southern half of Williamson County. This is in effect until 1:30 in the morning. This is for severe thunderstorms coming in, moving east at 60 miles per hour. And these are east of Centerville moving east. So basically southern half of Williamson County, basically. And those are for winds for, those are for 60 mile per hour wind gusts moving through. So let's go over to velocities real quick, and then we're going to kind of bounce back and forth on things that I can share with you on the flash flood emergency up there, just kind of as reports come in. Really, all I can do is just share with you reports and kind of things that we're hearing about what's going on up there in southern Davidson County, the Creve Hall area, Whispering Hills, on up into the eastern part of Davidson County as well. But here's your velocity data down there for the severe thunderstorm warning. So strong winds coming in with this line. This is a line here coming in from the west, and we hope this is one of the last of the night. But this line coming in from Hickman County, Lewis County, could have some gusty winds on the front of it and even within it. And so that's what we're looking at as far as the threat goes with that severe thunderstorm warning. So let me kind of, for those of you down in southern Williamson County that aren't really having the flooding issues, let me kind of share with you, let me kind of turn everything off. And I'm going to have to turn several things off here to really show you what's going on down there. So give me just a second. I'm going to start pulling some things down here just to kind of help us see what is going on. So there's your severe thunderstorm warning there. And it covers basically everybody from the Ag Center, the Williams County Fairgrounds, and back to the west in Boston, and Page High School, Arno, and Triune down there to the south. So Bethesda, you're included in the severe thunderstorm warning. Thompson Station, Spring Hill, you guys are included in the severe thunderstorm warning as well. And this is for 60 mile per hour wind gusts as this line comes through. That with this eagerly anticipated, might not be the right word, but maybe it is, because it might be one of our last big heavy rainfalls, hopefully. So normally wouldn't be looked forward to a line of storms like this, but if it means it's the end of the heavy rainfall, then come on through and let's move it on out of here. But it comes with a 60 mile per hour wind gust risk for those of you down south of 840, basically in Williamson County. So this is a severe thunderstorm warning. It's in effect until 1:30. So that's about another 30 minutes or so, 32 minutes. And we'll see how it kind of progresses on. The radar data is a little muddy here as far as exactly where the strongest velocities are going to be, whether they're on the leading edge here or whether they're right behind that. Some gusty winds there in Hohenwald and Lewis County. So definitely possible to see some strong winds inside the line as it pushes to the east. All right, so it looks to me like, let me turn on the flash flood warnings again. Let's go up here and talk about this. So this is a flash flood emergency up here in southern. We got a lot of flash flood warnings, but the flash flood emergency, and it doesn't turn a different color here, but it's this green polygon that goes from downtown Nashville down to Franklin to Nolensville and up to Percy Priest Lake, Rural Hill, Mount Juliet, Hermitage, and back into Donaldson and those areas. So this green polygon here is your flash flood emergency. And this is, again, as we said a little bit ago, the most dire flash flood product that they make. And there's just a lot of water going in places it shouldn't go up there in the Creve Hall area, in Brentwood, Forest Hills, Antioch, and areas to the north of that. So a lot of rivers getting out of control, and a lot of creeks and streams. I believe I saw 7 Mile Creek has now hit major flood stage at the Blackman Road gauge, and that is no good at all. So I'm trying to think back a comparable crest. I don't know what the level. There wasn't a recorded level in 2010, but regardless, major flood stage is a big deal there at 7 Mile Creek. All right, so flash flood emergency there, and that is until 4:30 in the morning. I mean, just count on this going for a while. Flash flood emergency for Metro Nashville, Brentwood, Franklin, and Mount Juliet, and that's until 4:30. And heavy rains across the warned area. Flash flooding's ongoing or expected. And so it's a particularly dangerous situation there in southern Davidson County and northern northern Williamson County. So thank you all for joining us here. We're going to stay with us for a while. We're going to stay with this, watching not only this flash flood emergency, but it's just a little bit heartbreaking to see the pictures coming in, and on the reports, and we love to get those reports, but it hits us in the feels when we see it really affecting you guys, and we just want you to know that we feel you, and we will get through this together. So we're sorry that you've had to endure the water there in southern Davidson County. But hey, send us the reports. We need to know what's going on, and send it, as you usually would, hashtag T-Spotter. We would love to get some pictures and see what's going on up there. It really does help. It just helps to know what's happening, and we can let the Weather Service know how serious things are. These are the kinds of reports that when you send these in, it helps them to know whether to issue that flash flood emergency, and to let people know that there is a serious threat out there. And it's by those reports that we send those in, and that's how they make those decisions. So continue to do that, and we will pass those on to the Weather Service. Okay, let's go back down to our severe thunderstorm warning for just a little bit here. This is, I'm going to turn the flash flood warnings off for a second, just so we can kind of differentiate between what all's going on. Down in the south, southern Williamson County, we've got potential for 60-mile-per-hour winds, and that runs down Murray County, Lawrence County, Lewis County, and off to the east and to Murray, Lawrence, and then the southern part of Williamson's included in that as well. So looks like we could have a couple of areas of strong gusty winds there around Boston and 840. So no stranger to that. Y'all have had a few of those the past few days, and even saw some furniture blown around in the Boston area from storm earlier that blew some things down. So it was definitely it was blowing there earlier, and it looks like another strong gust of wind coming through there now. All right, so here's your main line. And we hope that this is the last. But man, I got to tell you guys, and I just wish I had better news, but this rain is just gonna to make the flooding issues worse. Okay, I mean, this heaviest rain here in Fairview is pushing right up into southern Davidson County. All right, it just is, and it's pushing through there. So be careful out there, guys. Y'all got just a little bit before more rain pushes through, and it's going to be real heavy for a little bit. And then it slacks off for a while. So I tell you what we're going to do. Let's go over here and look at our kind of regional view here. It kind of gives us a big picture view of where we got a lot of lines of storms that have come through today. So, what are we looking at as far as, kind of when it's ending? So this is the main line that's going to come through, okay? And we've been waiting to say that all day. We've been waiting to say that all day. This thing's finally coming through. So this is the main line coming through. That doesn't mean there's not going to be some heavy downpours behind it. So if you notice back here in northwestern Tennessee, still some pretty decent showers back there and some downpours, but they're not as heavy as this line that's stretching now from Nashville down to the south. All right, so that's going to be your main line, and then there's going to be some moderate to heavy rain, mostly moderate rain behind that stretches back a good ways. So it's going to continue raining, but we got to get this heavy rain out of here, and hopefully we can get it out of there pretty quickly. All right, let's see. It seems like I've got some other places that are being affected by flooding here. I'm going to look here. This is around Broadwell Drive with cars underwater. I know exactly where that is. So we're kind of in the Creve Hall area, and some cars underwater there at several homes. And so I tell you, it seems to me the main concern, David says over here on Twitter, the main concern is the flash flood emergency in Nashville and northern Williamson County, where additional heavy rainfall is incoming. Very small tornado risk, probably near south of 840 in Williamson County, but nothing in these storms rotating right now. Yes. So I'm glad he said that. That's exactly right. And so let's go back to velocities real quick. Not seeing anything rotating down there, just kind of confirming what he was mentioning there. Wanted to show you what he was talking about. So yeah, those are the storms there in Williamson County. Don't seem to be rotating, but straight line winds could definitely be an issue there. All right, checking some other reports here. We're going back up and talk about the flash flood emergency. This is it's this green polygon here. I know there's a lot of them, but it's this one here that covers Brentwood from like the 440 loop down to Brentwood, Franklin, and over to the east, especially in the Creve Hall area, up Nolensville Road, Edmondson Pike. These are especially hard-hit areas over there right now with the flash flooding, and there's a big old downpour coming in from Fairview that's going to cross right over it. All right, but that's where that is going to be. And hopefully that'll be the last really big downpour that they get. But that could bring water up a little bit more. All right, so that flash flood emergency is the real deal. So that stretches all the way over to like Percy Priest Lake and Mount Juliet. All right. Yeah, David's over there on Twitter mentions that this additional torrential rainfall will worsen any already awful flash flood emergency. And seeing a picture here now of a, let's see, looks like looks like very high water down there just north of Franklin. Okay. That's a picture there we just got. So National Weather Service's Davidson County creeks, they're mentioning a few creeks here. 7 Mile Creek, of course, we mentioned that was in major flood stage just a moment ago. It is in major flood stage at the Blackman Road gauge. Mill Creek is entering moderate flood stage, and Richland Creek in Belmead is nearing major flood stage as well. So those are a few creeks that we don't want to see. These are in residential areas. And these are creeks that are coming up. 2 of them entering major flood stage, and 1 of them entering moderate flood stage. So if there's any good news to this point about Mill Creek, if there's any, we could have gotten heavier rain back down south of Nolensville earlier. And we were spared a little bit of that on the south side of Nolensville. That may have pushed the Mill Creek even higher. It's a stretch, but that's that may have spared a little bit in Nolensville and just barely to the north. But up there, once you get into Antioch and such, it didn't really matter. There's just a lot of stuff flowing into Mill Creek right now up that way. So even though it's flooded there at the Nolensville gauge, the roads are underwater on either side of Nolensville Road. Up there at the Nolensville gauge, it's a little bit more dire up there as you get closer to I-24 and the Antioch gauge and up into Woodbine for sure, especially where 7 Mile Creek joins in it. And that's going to be obviously pushing a lot of water there. Okay. Let me check some replies, check some reports. And seeing a video here in Oak Hill, I'm going to see if I can try to figure out where that is. Okay, this looks like not too far from Franklin Pike. Or maybe that's Curtiswood. That could be Curtiswood. I can't tell from Oak Hill. But anyway, that's a video there of water coming up. And you're looking at radar. I'm looking at some of these reports, going to describe some of them to you here. And just a lot of videos. You know, don't put yourself in harm's way getting video. We appreciate the reports, but please be careful out there. All right, down to the south. We still got that severe thunderstorm warning for southern Williamson County, and that's until 1:30 in the morning. And that involves this main line of rain that's coming in and could have a wind threat with it. Sometimes when we see these dark lines, you know, it may not be bright blue right there in this line, but sometimes this can mean kind of an increase in wind speed and just kind of a wind shift, and sometimes that can be a pretty hard wind. All right, so definitely some strong winds out ahead of it, up at about 5,000 feet, but there could be a pretty strong wind shift there that could blow some things around, and Weather Service is noting 60-mile-per-hour winds are possible down there, basically from the Ag Center down to the south of 840, getting on down into Murray County. And that's where the strongest winds could be. Lots and lots of rain coming in here. Bellevue down to Natchez Trace Bridge into Franklin. Fairview got it just a minute ago down to Boston. So I want to say one more downpour. I hope it's one more downpour. You know, there could be some rain behind it. Let's go back over to our regional view here. It just really does a better job of depicting it. I think this is going to be the last of the reds and the real bright colors on the radar. It looks like mostly yellows and maybe a few oranges back to the west. But it looks like this hopefully could be the last of the reds in our precipitation. So let's hope so. But we got one more to go. All right. Okay, let's go back over here. Numerous flash flood warnings in effect all the way stretching up from north of Davidson County, all the way down I-65, down toward Columbia, and then stretching east and west on I-40 quite a ways. So lots and lots of flash flood warnings there, and one flash flood emergency in the south part of Davidson County. Looking over here, boy, there's a lot of you folks that are up and awake. There's as many people watching now as there were our severe weather coverage earlier in the day. And it's 1:10 in the morning on Sunday morning, March the 28th. And we have a flash flood emergency down for southern Davidson County. And again, we said this over on Twitter, but this is the most dire flash flood product that the Weather Service can issue. This is it. This is the top. And so there's really a very, very rough situation, and here in both counties. Looking here now at video of flooding on I-24 that was near exit 57, and it looked like water was flooding pretty good there around I-24 exit 57. So that was a video we got a little bit ago. Flooding in Brentwood at Bell Reeve Drive and Granny White Pike. Cars are flooded. Also on Murray Lane in front of Brentwood High School, and at Concord Road. So that's also a place where flooding is occurring. I'm scrolling down through some more reports here. We saw a little bit ago reports that over there in the Walmart parking lot that there was actually water entering the Walmart over at Old Hickory and Nolensville. If you know where those of you who've been around Nashville a long time, the old Harding Mall, and there's a Walmart there now. And that area, 7 Mile Creek, runs right by that Walmart, and you may not even know it's there. But this is not the Walmart at Old Hickory and Nolensville. This is up at Harding and Nolensville. So Old Hickory and Nolensville is a Walmart that's a little bit further south near the Lowe's and all that. This is up near the the Harding Place and Nolensville Road Walmart up there. 7 Mile Creek runs right by it. And so apparently there was water coming actually into the Walmart there at that location. We got that report a little bit ago. So very, very serious. We haven't seen this flooding in quite some time there in that part of the county. All right, so heavy rains coming in now to the 440 loop. Heavy rains now entering the flash flood emergency area. And the flash flood emergency wasn't necessarily issued because of this rain coming in. It's from what we've already had, and this is just on top of it. This is just on top of what we've already had. Looking at pictures now from Donaldson, and streets just completely, just completely flooded. National Weather Service noting here that additional very heavy rain is entering the flash flood emergency area, and this will only make matters worse than they are. That was from the Weather Service just a moment ago. David's over on Twitter. Current heavy rain is the last batch of heavy rain we'll see tonight. Lighter rain will file in behind it. Yes, so he's got a good sort of illustration over there on Twitter showing how that's all fallen out right now and how that's working itself out as that pushes east. Old Turkey Boulevard by Kroger and Hermitage is flooded. Cars being left behind. Dodson Chapel covered in water. Tulip Grove Road between Lisa Ann and Chandler completely impassable. Several reports there coming in. The river gauge at 7 Mile Creek and Blackman Road in South Nashville is up to 14.5 feet. That's the highest that the gauge has ever recorded since being installed in January of 2011. Okay, that gauge was put in January of 2011. And so that tells you something. It was not there in 2010, but it's at 14.5 feet, which is the highest stage since it was installed. So major flood stage there at 7 Mile Creek and Blackman Road. If you've been around Nashville a long time, we've seen issues with that creek before, and I was just waiting to get a report of this. This is I'm looking at a video now from Hogan Road in Creve Hall. And now Hogan Road in Creve Hall is also one of those places that we've seen flood many times if you've been around Nashville a long time, and it is it's a raging river. I don't know how else to describe it. But Hogan Road, I grew up just right there, one street over from Hogan Road, and we would watch that flood as kids. But it's doing it again, and a lot bigger than I've seen in quite some time. So that's what we're looking at now. You're looking at radar here. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning. You've got that on the southern part of Williamson County. That's in effect until 1:30 in the morning. And then we've also got that flash flood emergency up there in southern Davidson and northern Williamson that is going to be in effect for quite some time now. And somebody's asking here, any idea when this will end tonight? Somebody said they just had to evacuate. 7 Mile runs through their backyard and my house is flooded. I'm so sorry. Made it to higher ground, but this is very traumatizing. I'm so sorry, Grace. And this is the last batch of rain coming through, and just light to moderate rain behind this, but one more wave of rain coming in. Okay, so flash flood emergency up in Davidson County, severe thunderstorm warning in Williamson County. Not seeing any rotation concerns, but I am seeing little pockets of those 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts coming up, and 50, 55, 60 maybe around Thompson Station, Spring Hill. So still some issues with straight line winds coming through Williamson County for sure. And that's not right. There we go. And so then back down to the south, let's go on down and kind of look down here. So, we're doing pretty good on the tornado situation. We haven't had to deal with that in a while. Really at all in our two counties today, but the nearest tornado warnings are down here in northeastern Mississippi. So we don't have any worries about that right this second. And so we are dealing with a straight line wind event right now in southern Williamson County, basically along and south of 840 is really where we're looking at that. Yeah, David says over on Twitter there are too many reports of horrible flooding to count. It's only going to get worse. so don't venture out in it. So yeah. All right, cool. Well, I'm sorry, guys. All right, let's see here. Let's go back over to, let's go look at our regional view again, kind of get an update on that. And you can kind of see back to the west. Well, let's run this loop again. Here it comes. And the storm's coming in now to 65, I-65. Once they cross 65, they'll push on out of here. These are moving pretty well. They're not hanging around too bad, other than the fact that it's going to be torrential downpours in areas that don't need it. So aside from that, it looks like they're moving a little bit. So they probably won't hang around too terribly long, but it's going to be long enough. So let's go back to radar over here. There's not just a lot to see other than a lot of heavy rain and a lot of flash flood warnings, just a bunch of flash flood warnings. So down here to the south, let's go look at, in fact, I'm going to go look at TB&A here and bring that up for you. Here's TB&A radar out of Nolensville here. Thompson Station, we're seeing that in a couple of places now. We're seeing on the Old Hickory, or the Weather Service radar. We're also seeing it on TB&A. It looks like some strong gusty winds here, 58 miles per hour around Thompson Station. Entirely possible. So gusty winds there within the severe thunderstorm warning in southern Williamson County. And those 55, 60 mile per hour wind gusts not out of the question whatsoever there in Thompson Station. And it looks like it's kind of right after that wind goes through. And it looks like they have sort of updated the warning here, and they're pulling it to the east just a little bit. So a little bit less, just a little less of Williamson County is included now. Boston, you guys are clear as far as the severe thunderstorm warning goes. Leapers Fork, not sure y'all were ever in it. Y'all were too far north. Thompson Station, Spring Hill, Bethesda, College Grove, give it another little bit, and you guys will be good to go. However, seems like some pretty gusty winds there in Thompson Station. So that's, so I'm looking up here to see if there's any wind reports coming in, and I don't see any right now. All right, reflectivities here. Let's go back to our traditional radar view, and I'm going to turn off the flash flood warnings just for a second, just so you can see a little bit better. But you see the flooding reports here. These are not by any stretch of the imagination all the flooding that's happening. I mean, for example, this one report here says many houses reported underwater near Edmondson Pike and Blackman Road. All right, so that's many houses. That's, you know, so there's multiple instances of flooding and multiple people affected, multiple homes and families there in around the 7 Mile Creek thing there, and then off to the east. So I actually have, I'm going to pull this up. This is actually the 7 Mile Creek Watershed. I never thought we'd actually use this, but here is the 7 Mile Creek Watershed. And so any rain that falls inside this purple line will go into 7 Mile Creek. So all of the water here all the way east of Radnor Lake, near I-65, all the water in Creve Hall, Nippers Corner, all the way down into just a little bit of northern Williamson County, and all the way over almost to Nolensville and Old Hickory Boulevard, all the water that falls in there goes into 7 Mile Creek. All right, so it was, you know, and they just had a ton of water right there. So as you see this watershed, there's watersheds just like it in different places, and I'm taking power hits at my place again, so hopefully we'll stay on. But just like there's watersheds here, there's watersheds all over the place. I mean, everywhere is a watershed. The water that falls anywhere is going to go somewhere. And so, but this one's for 7 Mile Creek, the one that's having such serious issues right now. And then it joins Mill Creek up here just after it goes under I-24. And joins up with Mill Creek, and that's when it goes up and eventually goes into the Cumberland River and becomes part of Cheatham Lake. All right, so that's where 7 Mile Creek is, and that's the watershed. And all of that water, I mean, let's turn it back on. I mean, all of the heavy rain is right in the watershed right now again. All right, so that's what we're looking at there. All right, let's turn that off. Let's go back, and let's turn on flash flood warnings again. Let me show you again. If you're just joining us, a few more actually have joined us here lately. Let me just illustrate where that flash flood emergency is. It's this green, but they don't stand out real well. They don't change colors like our tornado warnings do. When we have a very serious tornado warning, they turn purple. These right here, they stay green. Okay, so flash flood emergency is this polygon that runs through Brentwood and Antioch, Percy Priest Lake, B&A, and Vanderbilt. that is the flash flood emergency right there. Let's take a look at velocities again. Let's go down the line. Velocities don't look too bad in the line. However, if the wind is blowing to the east or southeast here, the radar is not going to see that very well at all, just the way Doppler radar works. So definitely some gusty winds possible there from Bethesda, College Grove, Thompson Station, Spring Hill, down to Columbia and to Murray County, all the way up to Page High School. Could see the gusty winds there. So heavy rain pushing into Nolensville. Now that will get Mill Creek going, and it already has, but this will fall in the Mill Creek watershed just south of Nolensville, and that water will come through Nolensville there in town and push on down toward the Nolensville gauge, which is up there at where Culbertson Road and Bluff Road come together. That bridge right there where Davidson and Williamson counties, the border is, that's where the gauge is. It's actually up in Davidson County, I think. So that's where the gauge would be for if you're looking at the Nolensville gauge, that's where it is. And then beyond that, you have the Mill Creek gauge at Antioch, and then you have it up in Woodbine. So all this water is falling in that watershed as well. So it looks like a severe thunderstorm warning coming for, let's say, Bedford, Cannon, Coffee, Giles, Lawrence, Marshall, Murray, Rutherford, and Williamson. So another really big severe thunderstorm warning coming out. That's going to be for quite a few places, actually. That's going to cover a really large area. So it looks like there are we're getting reports here of 5 people stranded in floodwaters in the 400 block of Hogan Road. So authorities are helping those folks. They're on Hogan Road. In just a second, we'll see our new severe thunderstorm warning polygon pop up. And we'll stay on here until the heavy rain pushes on out of both counties. So we'll do that. We'll commit to that here. And there's your new polygon there. So it overlaps actually quite a bit. It overlaps with a lot of the old one. And this is a huge warning polygon. It covers a lot of area and several counties. So, but we're only in a small part of it. All right, so only just a very small southeastern quadrant of Williamson County is included in the new warning, and the old one for that matter. And it covers basically Page High School down to Bethesda, over to College Grove, Comstock Road, Cross Keys, and Allisona. So these were all areas we've talked about multiple times today, but right here's this wind shift line. Could be some strong winds as a part of that, and could be some strong winds on the back side of that as well. I'm not seeing much on TB&A either. I'm over there looking at it, and but the winds just really aren't heading in a good direction to read it well with our radars. The way it's going, the direction it's heading, but not seeing too much in the way of as far as radar indicated strong gusty winds, but that definitely could still be happening. And the radar is just not seeing it. So the main story here, the main story is going to be this heavy rain. And it's going to be this heavy rain, especially over southern Davidson County, northern Williamson County, and where our flash flood emergency is in effect. It looks like I-24 near Harding Place remains flooded with stranded vehicles in the middle of the interstate. It's been several years since we've seen I-24 flooded, but it looks like I-24 is flooded over there near Harding, and several cars stranded there. And so not sure if that's part of the 7 Mile Creek or Mill Creek flooding over there on I-24. It sounds like it may be the 7 Mile Creek flooding over there, kind of near where it joins Mill Creek. But nonetheless, parts of I-24 are flooded, it looks like. So flash flood emergency continues up there. Again, as we mentioned a little bit ago, this is the highest tier of flash flood products that the Weather Service can issue. So there is no flash flood warning higher than this one. And so that's for areas south of downtown and north of Franklin, and really includes Franklin. Let me go over and take a look at some of your reports again. It's going to look like the rain got lighter all of a sudden. See how it went from reds and it just dropped down to yellows? That's because an incredibly heavy downpour went over the Weather Service radar, and it's called it attenuated the signal. It means that the signal wasn't able to push through all of the rain that was falling on the radar dome. So it dropped the signal just a tad, and then once that heavy rain passes the radar, it'll come back up. So it'll go back red again here in just a little bit. But it dropped just temporarily. All right, let's check velocities one more time down here and kind of see. There are some strong gusty winds right out ahead of this thing, up at about 2,200 feet, some 52, 55 mile per hour wind gusts. They're around Holt's Corner down in Marshall County and going up toward Rutherford County and College Grove. So the wind shift line has cleared Davidson County. It's almost ready to clear Williamson County. And we hope that gets out of here quickly. So it looks like the wind shift line is on the very front of this precip, and then there's heavy rain behind it, and then it starts to lighten up. Luckily, look at this, back behind Franklin. So it looks here like the heaviest rain is basically east of 65, on top of 65 into the east, and then the rain is a lot lighter, and it should stay relatively close that way in western Davidson County, western Williamson County, and back to the west. So, and then that's all pushing east. So we're getting there, guys. We're getting there. Let's keep at it. Let's keep with the messaging. If you got friends that are trying to get out, get in touch with the proper help to help them get out of a flooding situation in their home. If they need some help, let the authorities know and try to get some help. But don't put yourself in bad situations if you're out tonight. Definitely. I guess maybe above all, whatever you do, don't go out and sightsee tonight at 1:30 in the morning in the middle of all this flooding just to go and see how bad it is somewhere. That's quite possibly the worst thing you could do at this moment in time. So whatever you do, don't go do that. Let's go over to GR3 here. We're going to take a look at TBNA. And really the strongest velocities I see here are down here around Holt's Corner in Marshall County. And that's going to be some high velocities right there on the front end of that line that's coming through there. And that's kind of fizzling itself, actually. So back over to reflectivities here. And heaviest rain now east of downtown. It's going to be up toward Hermitage and Madison, and down toward Donaldson and B&A and Percy Priest Lake and Antioch. Unfortunately, back over to Creve Hall, it's starting to lighten up some. And down toward Nolensville, and stretching south of Nolensville down toward Triune, down toward the 840 interchange there on Nolensville Road. And then approaching the 31A, 41A split, where Nolensville Road splits into two there and goes to Eagleville and down to Chapel Hill and College Grove. So that heavy rain is approaching that and has actually just now arrived. So it looks like the heaviest rain now is starting to push over into Wilson County and into Rutherford. And then we should be good to go on the heavy rain here in about 20 minutes. But it's going to take a little bit. It's going to take a little bit for the wind. I was reading a report up there about some wind. It's getting late, guys. It's going to take a little bit for the water to come up even further from these rains. Okay, so as soon as the rain's over, it's not over. You gotta. There's a delay between the time the rain falls and that water's going to start coming up. A little bit even more up there in Davidson County and northern Williamson County. Okay, so just be aware of that as you are out doing your thing with these water rescues and different things going on. So if you're around these areas, you kind of just realize that it's going to take a little bit for all this water to drain out. So, and it may come up even more here in the next little bit. Back over to velocities here. Little bit of enhanced velocities there around Holt's Corner, right on the tip of Williamson County. Not really even in Williamson County much anymore. So basically the wind shift line has pushed east of Williamson, and some gusty winds over there in Rutherford County could be on the order of 57, 58 miles an hour. That's just right above the ground over there off of Rock Springs Road, where they had, not too far from where they had the, actually right where they had the tornado damage the other day from the EF1 tornado that went through there off of Rock Springs Road. So some pretty good straight line winds over there now, 55 miles per hour, 56, right off the ground level. But down to the south, not seeing anything too crazy on radar. But again, doesn't have a great view. All right, back over to our reflectivity. Let's go over to our regional view again. Just kind of see, we've kind of been through it today, and we just want to see how this line is progressing. And you can kind of see the heaviest rain now is, and there's your update, the heaviest rain now pushing east of 65. There doesn't look to be much of anything of consequence behind it other than some moderate rain for a while. So that may keep our rivers and streams high. So it may keep the creeks and the streams, they're kind of flashy. They go up fast, they come down fast. Well, it might take a little bit longer for them to come down if we've got this moderate rain going for a couple hours behind the line of storms, okay? So line of storms coming through now. You see Nashville there right here, and Williamson County right below it. Kind of hard to see, but I apologize for that. So that line of storms is pushing through. All right, let's go back to radar here. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning remaining in effect until 2 a.m., and that's going to be for the far southeastern corner of Williamson County. Not seeing too much in the way of high velocities down there on radar, but definitely... it could be some high velocity winds down there. The warning is in effect for 60 mile per hour wind gusts. And they said that was radar indicated down that way. I'm going to switch over here to the high top radar. This is a radar down in Alabama. And we're going to look back up toward the line that just came through here. And yeah, we can see some, if you look on the high top radar here, you can kind of see we're looking a little bit higher up in the storm, about 5,000 feet, but you can kind of see these areas of 50 to 60 mile per hour winds just east of Columbia, kind of scattered around throughout the line. So there could be, some strong wind gusts there, and this radar can see it a little bit better, even though it's viewing it a little bit higher. You can see about 5,000 feet. You've got about 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts there. So that kind of confirms by radar that we are seeing those strong winds up and down that line, mostly south of Williamson County. All right, let's go back to the Weather Service radar here. We're going to turn off the flash flood warnings for just a little bit. And it looks like the heaviest rain now pushing east, so still raining pretty hard up and down Nolensville Road and in the eastern part of Williamson County, but it looks like the heaviest rain now definitely pushing over into Wilson. Clearly you can see here the brightest colors have gone over to Mount Juliet, Rural Hill, and Smyrna. So basically Rutherford County and Wilson County is taking on the rain that we just had up in Davidson County. And then still some heavy downpours down around Eagleville there in Rutherford County, but Bethesda there in Williamson County, and definitely some heavy downpours left there. And let's go back in time a little bit. Let's kind of run a loop. Kind of see how that progressed. All right, so it's getting out of here, but it's taking its time a little bit, but it'll be out of here before too long. So it looks like we have pretty much an end to the very low end tornado threat that we had south of 840. It looks like that's come to an end in Williamson County. So basically, after this wind shift line has moved through, that pretty much does an end to our low end tornado threat there south of 840. So if you were wondering about that, that's good to know. Crazy wind on Taliaferro Road right now. Yeah, that's okay. That's good to know. That's down here toward the Eagleville area in College Grove. There's Webb Road, and there's Taliaferro right there. So big winds there just north of College Grove. And this is a great example. The radar just can't see that very well with the angle that it's at. But, yeah, there's Taliaferro Road right there just north of College Grove, and getting a report there of some crazy wind there. All right, so that's good to know, and hopefully it doesn't get too strong there for you. Let me go over and check on TBNA. Yeah, really nothing different on TBNA, so we won't take that. All right, so what remains now is a flash flood emergency, numerous flash flood warnings, but a high-end flash flood warning, a flash flood emergency that's in effect from downtown Nashville back to the south through Brentwood, Franklin, over into Antioch, and up in toward Mount Juliet, Hermitage, and Percy Priest Lake. All right, so that's the flash flood emergency, the high-end flash flood warning that they can issue. And so that is that's in effect there between Nashville and Franklin, and then the heavy rain down to the south. And I think that's going to be about it for us. So tell you what we're going to do. We're going to jump off of YouTube Live. The wind shift line has pushed east of Williamson County. That's where the highest winds would have been. And so we are going to jump off of YouTube Live. We're going to leave you with the tweets over at Nash Severe WX over on Twitter. David's taking care of that as he has been all day, and we're taking your reports at #TSpotter. Thank you so much for being with us on here and sharing your reports with us. It's meant a lot that you've helped us out with that process, and looks like even now that they're evacuating some homes along the Harpeth River Drive in Brentwood. So still a lot of tough time to go here, and we've got a lot of cleanup to do, it sounds like. But hey, hope you all are able to get a little bit of rest tonight, and that the storms are coming to an end as they push on out, and we'll see what daylight brings us tomorrow morning. Good night.